In the epic saga of World War II, where steel behemoths clashed amidst a tempest of fire on the sea, there were some unsung heroes that played pivotal roles in shaping the tide of battles yet remain relatively unknown. One such hero is HMS Ajax, a name that echoes with valor but whose deeds often take a backseat to more famous vessels. This Leander-class cruiser wasn't just an ordinary ship, it was a silent force, a specter of the seas that haunted the enemy. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Jaxom Talks channel. Today, we're going to dive into the story of a warship whose name is synonymous with victory and sheer, unadulterated grit. I'm talking about a ship whose exploits read like something out of a naval epic, a small cruiser that became a giant slayer and a symbol of British defiance in the dark early days of the Second World War. We are talking about HMS Ajax. Now, if you know your history, the name Ajax carries some serious weight. It's the name of one of the greatest Greek heroes of the Trojan War, a warrior renowned for his strength, courage, and resilience. The Royal Navy has a long tradition of naming its most formidable ships after him, but none of them lived up to the name quite like the one we're talking about today. HMS Ajax was a Leander-class light cruiser, a ship designed for speed and flexibility, not for going toe-to-toe with monsters. But that's exactly what she did time and time again. Her fighting career saw her involved in some of the most famous naval battles of the war, earning her a staggering number of battle honors. Today, we're going to follow the incredible journey of HMS Ajax, from a routine patrol in the South Atlantic to the brutal fighting in the Mediterranean. We'll find out why she was known as the mighty little cruiser and why her story is one that deserves to be told. HMS Ajax was launched in 1934 and commissioned into the Royal Navy in 1935. For the next few years, her life was relatively quiet. She was assigned to the North America and West Indies station, carrying out peacetime duties, showing the flag and honing the skills of her crew. It was a time of drills and training, a period of preparation for a conflict that many hoped would never come. But on the horizon, a storm was brewing. As tensions rose in Europe, a new kind of naval threat emerged. Germany, in violation of the Treaty of Versailles, had built a class of warships they called Panzerschiff, or armored ships. To the British, these were pocket battleships. The most infamous of these was the Admiral Graf Spee. She was a formidable ship, fast enough to evade any battleship and armed with powerful 11-inch guns that could outrange and outgun any cruiser. Her mission was to act as a commerce raider, sinking Allied merchant shipping in the Atlantic without being caught, and they caused utter havoc. To deal with this menace, the Royal Navy formed hunting groups. One of them, Force G, was comprised of the heavy cruiser HMS Exeter and the two light cruisers, HMS Achilles and HMS Ajax. They were commanded by Commodore Henry Harwood, a brilliant and determined officer. It was a mismatched force, and they were the only thing standing between the Graf Spee and a free run on the South Atlantic. And on the morning of December 13, 1939, their worlds collided. It was just before dawn and Force G was patrolling off the coast of Uruguay near the mouth of the River Plate. Suddenly, a report came in. The Graf Spee had been spotted. The moment of truth had arrived. Commodore Harwood knew the odds were stacked against them. His two light cruisers had smaller 6-inch guns, but he had a plan. He would use his cruisers' speed and numbers to split the enemy's fire. Instead of retreating, he ordered his ships to advance, a bold and almost suicidal move. The battle began at 6:18 a.m. The Graf Spee opened fire first, her monstrous 11-inch guns sending shells arcing towards the British ships. The heavy cruiser HMS Exeter, at the head of the formation, took the initial pounding. Shells ripped into her, destroying her forward turrets and a fire control tower. She was a wreck. But her sacrifice was critical. As the Graf Spee focused on the battered Exeter, Ajax and Achilles moved in. They closed the range, their smaller 6-inch guns firing a blistering salvo of shells. While each shell was less powerful than the enemy's, the sheer volume of fire was a terrifying shock to the German crew. HMS Ajax was at the heart of this onslaught, firing relentlessly with her guns blazing as she dodged the massive geysers of water thrown up by the enemy's shells. Graf Spee was a battleship, not a brawler. The intense, close-range fight was not what she was designed for. She was hit repeatedly, suffering damage to her superstructure and radar. The battle raged for over an hour. Ajax took hits herself, with 2 shells disabling her 2 aft turrets and another shot destroying her mast. She had to break off the engagement, but by then, the damage was done. The Graf Spee had been forced to retreat. The Graf Spee took refuge in the neutral port of Montevideo, Uruguay, to make repairs. But the story didn't end there. For the next 72 hours, a brilliant game of psychological and diplomatic warfare was played out. The British used misinformation, suggesting that a huge naval force was waiting outside the harbor. The captain of the Graf Spee, Hans Langsdorff, was convinced. Faced with a choice between an unwinnable battle and scuttling his ship, he made a tragic decision. On December 17, 1939, to prevent her capture by the Royal Navy, the Admiral Grafspee was scuttled by her own crew just outside the port. The now famous Battle of the River Plate was a massive morale boost for the Allies and a crushing blow to German prestige. At the heart of that victory was the courage and tenacity of the crew of HMS Ajax. After repairs, Ajax was sent to the Mediterranean, a new theater of war with a new enemy, the powerful Italian Regia Marina. Here, her career would be just as action-packed, if not more so. The war in the Med was a brutal, fast-paced fight for control of the sea. In the summer of 1940, Ajax was involved in the Battle of Calabria, which was a large-scale fleet engagement. Her light guns were outmatched, but she played her part in the long-range artillery duel. But her finest moment in the Mediterranean came just a few months later, in the Battle of Cape Passero on October 12, 1940. It was a night action. Ajax was alone on patrol when she stumbled upon a group of Italian torpedo boats and destroyers. In the dark, the British cruiser engaged. What followed was a masterclass in aggressive naval fighting. Ajax's gunners were incredibly skilled, and her radar was highly effective at night. In a matter of minutes, she sank 2 Italian torpedo boats, a destroyer, and severely damaged another. The night turned into confused chaos, but Ajax emerged as the undisputed winner. It was this victory that earned her the unofficial but beloved nickname, Ajax the Destroyer. Her crew's bravery was tested not only in ship-to-ship combat but also against a constant threat from the air. Throughout the campaigns of Greece and Crete in 1941, Ajax was a lifeline. She was used for dangerous convoy escort and, more importantly, for the perilous evacuation of Allied troops. Under the relentless German air attacks, Ajax's crew bravely ferried thousands of soldiers to safety. She took damage and suffered casualties, but she never stopped. She was a true workhorse of the fleet. After her grueling service in the Mediterranean, Ajax was sent home for much-needed repairs. She was a tired ship, but her fighting spirit was undiminished. By the time she was back in action, the war was turning in the Allies' favor. Her final major contribution was in 1944. She provided crucial naval gunfire support during the D-Day landings in Normandy, pounding German defenses and helping the Allied troops get a foothold on the beach. It was a fitting role for a ship that had been at the forefront of the war from almost the very beginning. HMS Ajax was decommissioned shortly after the war in 1948 and, like so many other ships, was sold for scrap in 1949. But her legacy lived on, and the name, Ajax, became a symbol of courage and resilience. The crew of the ship were heroes in their own right, and their ship was a legend. The motto of the ship was, "Ni extra alias," or "Do not stray beyond the olives," a reference to an ancient Latin saying. But Ajax and her crew, in their daring exploits, proved that sometimes it's exactly what you need to do to secure victory. HMS Ajax was a light cruiser with the heart of a battleship. She was a ship that, when faced with overwhelming odds, didn't retreat. She advanced, she fought, and she conquered. She was the mighty little cruiser that became a hero of the Royal Navy and a legend of the Second World War. Thank you for joining me on this journey, detailing the incredible life of HMS Ajax. I hope this story inspires you as much as it inspires me. It's a powerful reminder that with courage, a little bit of audacity, and unwavering teamwork, even a small force can achieve a truly monumental victory. If you enjoyed this, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Jaxom Talks for more stories from history. Let me know in the comments below what other ships or battles you'd like me to cover next. Until then, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.